1880 translation to English by J Sephton from the original Old Norse Eirik Saga of Erik. The Saga of Erik the Red. Olaf, who was called Olaf the White, was styled a warrior king. He was the son of King Ingjald, the son of Helgi, the son of Olaf, the son of Gudrid, the son of Halfdan Whiteleg, king of the uplands in Norway. He led a harrying expedition of sea rovers into the west and conquered Dublin in Ireland and Dublinshire, over which he made himself king. He married Aud, the deep-minded, daughter of Kedil Flatnose, son of Bjorn the Unguarded, a nobleman from Norway. Their son was named Thorstein the Red. Olaf fell in battle in Ireland, and then Aud and Thorstein went into the Sudrayar, the Hebrides. There Thorstein married Thorid, daughter of Eyvind the Easterling, sister of Helgi the Lean, and they had many children. Thorstein became a warrior king, and formed an alliance with Earl Sigurd the Great, son of Eystein the Rattler. They conquered Caithness, Sutherland, Ross, and Moray, and more than half of Scotland. Over these, Thorstein was king, until the Scots plotted against him, and he fell there in battle. Aud was in Caithness when she heard of Thorstein's death. She caused a merchant ship to be secretly built in the wood, and when she was ready, directed her course out into the Orkneys. There she gave in marriage Thorstein the Red's daughter, Gro, who became mother of Greyland, whom Earl Thorfinn the Skullcleaver married. Afterwards, Aud set out to seek Iceland, having 20 free men in her ship. Aud came to Iceland and passed the first winter in Bjarnarhafen, or Bjornshaven, with her brother Bjorn. Afterwards she occupied all the Dale country, between the Dagurdara, the Daymil River, and the Skramhulapsa, the river of the giantess's leap, and dwelt at Vam. She had prayer meetings at Krosholar, the Cross Hills, where she caused crosses to be erected, for she was baptized and deeply devoted to the faith. There came with her to Iceland many men worthy of honor, who had been taken captive in sea-roving expeditions to the west, and who were called bondmen. One of these was Vifil. He was a man of a high family, and had been taken captive beyond the western main, and was also called a bondman before Aud set him free. And when Aud granted dwellings to her ship's company, Vifil asked why she gave no abode to him like unto the others. Aud replied that it was of no moment to him, for, she said, he would be esteemed in whatever place he was, as one worthy of honor. She gave him Vifilsdalr, or Vifilsdale, and he dwelt there and married. His sons were Thorbjorn and Thorgir, promising men, and they grew up in their father's house. There was a man named Thorvald, the son of Osvald, the son of Ulf, the son of Yngsa Thors. His son was named Eirik. Father and son removed from Jadar in Norway to Iceland because of manslaughters, and occupied land in Hornstrandir, and dwelt at Dragnar. There Thorvald died, and Eirik married Thjodhild, daughter of Jorund, the son of Atli, and of Thorbjorg the ship-breasted, whom afterwards Thorbjorn of the Hakodalr, Hakdale family, married. He it was who dwelt at Eiriksstatir, after Eirik removed from the north. It is near Vatshorn. Then did Eirik's thralls cause a landslip in the estate of Valthiof at Valthjofstadir. Eyjolf the Foul, his kinsman, slew the thralls beside Skisdabrekker, the slopes of the racecourse, above Vatshorn. In return, Eirik, through Eyjolf the Foul, He slew also Hafin the Dueler, and Leikskalar. Geirstein and Odd of Yorfi, kinsmen of Eyjolf, were found willing to follow up his death by a legal prosecution. And then was Eirik banished from Hakodal. He occupied then Broki and Eiksni, and dwelt at Tradir in Sudri the first winter. At this time did he lend to Thorgest pillars for seat stalks. Afterwards Eirik removed into Eiksni, and dwelt at Eirikstadr. He then claimed his pillars, and got them not. Then went Eirik and fetched the pillars from Bridabolstadr, and Thorgest went after him. They fought at a short distance from the Hayard at Drangar, and there fell 2 sons of Thorgest, and some other men. After that they both kept a large body of men together. Stair gave assistance to Eirik, as also did Eyjolf of Svini, Thorbjorn Vifilsson of Alptafjord. But the sons of Thorgelir, as also Thorgir of Hitedalar, Aslak of Langedalar, and Ilugi, his son, gave assistance to Thorgest. Eirik and his people were outlawed at Thorsness Thing. He prepared a ship in Eiriksvagen, and Eyjolf concealed him in Demungavagen, while Thorgest and his people sought him among the islands. Eirik said to his people that he proposed to seek for the land which Gunnbjorn, the son of Ulf the Crow, saw when he was driven westward over the ocean, and discovered Gunnbjarnarsaker, also known as Gunnbjorn's Rock or Skerry. He promised that he would return to visit his friends if he found the land. Thorbjorn and Eyjolf and Styr accompanied Eirik beyond the islands. They separated in the most friendly manner, Eirik saying that he would be of the like assistance to them, if he should be able to so be, and they should happen to need him. Then he sailed oceanwards, under Snæfellsjökull, the snow mountain glacier, and arrived at the glacier called Blasaker, or Blue Shirt. Thence he journeyed south, to see if there were any inhabitants of the country. He passed the first winter at Eiriksey, near the middle of the Vestrabygd, the western settlement. The following spring he proceeded to Eiriksfjordr, and fixed his abode there. During the summer he proceeded into the unpeopled districts in the west, and was there a long time, giving names to the places far and wide. The second winter he passed into Eiriksholmar, the Isles, off Hjavsgunpr, the peak of disappearance, Cape Farewell. And the third summer he went altogether northwards to Snæfell, and into Hrafnsfjordr, or Ravensfirth. Considering then that he had come to the head of Eiriksfjordr, he turned back, and passed the third winter in Eiriksey, before the mouth of Eiriksfjordr. Now afterwards, during the summer, he proceeded to Iceland, and came to Bridafjordr, or Broadfirth. This winter he was with Ingolf, at Holmatr, Island Litter. During the spring, Thorgest and he fought, and Eirik met with defeat. After that they were reconciled. In the summer, Eirik went to live in the land which he had discovered, and that which he called Greenland. Because, said he, men will desire much more to go there, if the land has a good name. Thorgir Vifilsson married, and took to wife Arnora, daughter of Einar, from Laugarbrekka, the slope of the hot spring, the son of Sigmund, the Aeon of Ketil Thistil, who had occupied Thistilfjordur. The second daughter of Einar was named Halvig. Thorbjorn Vifilsson took her to wife and received with her the land of Laugarbrekka at Halsvore, the cave hill. To that spot, Thorbjorn removed his abode and became great and worshipful. He was the temple priest and had a magnificent estate. Thorbjorn's daughter was Gudrid, the fairest of women, and of peerless nobility in all her conduct. There was a man named Orm, who dwelt at Arnastapi, the Eagle Rock, and he had a wife who was named Haldis. He was a well-to-do franklin, a good friend of Thorbjorn, and Gudrid lived at his house as his foster child for a long time. There was a man named Thorgir, who dwelt at Thorgirsfjall. He was mighty rich in cattle, and had been made a freedman. He had a son, whose name was Einar, a handsome man, well-mannered, and a great dandy. Einar at this time was a traveling merchant, sailing from land to land with great success, as he always passed his winter either in Iceland or in Norway. Now after this, I have to tell how that one autumn, when Einar was in Iceland, he proceeded with his wares along Snæfellsnes. With the object of selling, he came to Arnarstapi. Orm invited him to stay there, and Einar accepted his invitation because there was friendship between him and Orm's people, and his wares were earned into a certain outhouse. There he unpacked his merchandise, showed it to Orm and the housemen, and bade Orm take therefrom such things as he would. Orm accepted the offer, and pronounced Einar to be a goodly gallant traveller, and a great favourite of fortune. When now they were busy with the wares, a woman passed before the door of the outhouse. Einar inquired of Orm who that fair woman might be passing before the door. I have not seen her here before, said he. That is Gudrid, my foster child, said Orm, daughter of Thorbjorn the Franklin, from Laugarbrekka. She must be a good match, said Einar. Surely she has not been without suitors who have made proposals for her, has she? Orm answered, Proposals have certainly been made, friend, but this treasure is not to be had for the picking up. It is found that she will be particular in her choice, as well also as her father. Well, in spite of that, quoth Einar, she is the woman who I have it in my mind to propose for, and I wish that in this suit of mine you approach her on my part, and apply yourself to plead diligently for me, for which I shall pay you in return a perfect friendship. The Franklin Thorbjorn may reflect that our families would be suitably joined in the bonds of affinity, for he is a man in a position of great honor, and owns a fine abode, but his personal property, I am told, is greatly on the decrease. Neither I nor my father lack lands or personal property, and if this alliance should be brought about, the greatest assistance would accrue to Thorbjorn. Then answered Orm, Of a surety I considered myself to be thy friend, and yet am I not willing to bring forward this suit, for Thorbjorn is of a proud mind, and withal a very ambitious man. Einar replied that he desired no other thing than that his offer of marriage should be made known. Orm then consented to undertake the suit, and Einar journeyed south again until he came home. A while after, Thorbjorn had a harvest feast, as he was bound to have because of his great rank. There were presented Orm, from Arnarstapi, and many other friends of Thorbjorn. Orm entered into the conversation with Thorbjorn, and told him that Einar had lately been to see him from Thorgirsfjall, and was becoming a promising man. He now began the wooing on behalf of Einar, and said that an alliance between the families would be very suitable on account of certain interests. There may arise to thee, Franklin, he said, great assistance in thy means from this alliance. But Thorbjorn answered, I did not expect the like proposal from thee, that I should give my daughter in marriage to the son of a thrall. And so thou perceivest that my substance is decreasing. Well, then my daughter shall not go home with thee, since thou considerest her worthy of so poor a match. Then went Orm again, and each of the other guests to his household, and Gudrid remained with her father, and stayed at home that winter. Now in the spring, Thorbjorn made a feast to his friends, and a goodly banquet was prepared. There came many guests, and the banquet was of the best. Now at the banquet, Thorbjorn called for a hearing, and thus spake, Here I have dwelt a long time. I have experienced the goodwill of men and their affection towards me, and I consider that our dealings with one another have been mutually agreeable. But now do my money matters begin to bring me uneasiness. Although to this time my condition has not been reckoned or contemptible, I wish, therefore, to break up my household before I lose my honor, to remove from the country before I disgrace my family. So now, I propose to look after the promise of Eirik the Red, my friend, which he made when we were separated at Breidafjordr. I propose to depart for Greenland in the summer, if events proceed as I could wish. These tidings about his design appeared to the guests to be important, for Thorbjorn had long been beloved by his friends. They felt that he would only have made so public a declaration, that it might be held of no avail to attempt to dissuade him from his purpose. Thorbjorn distributed gifts among the guests, and then the feast was brought to an end, and they departed to their own homesteads. Thorbjorn sold his lands, and bought a ship, which had been laid up on shore at the mouth of the Hraunhafen, the harbor of the lava field. 30 men ventured on the expedition with him. There was Orm, from Arnarstapi, and his wife, and those friends of Thorbjorn who did not wish to be separated from him. When they launched the ship, they set sail with a favorable wind. But when they came out into the open sea, the favorable wind ceased, and they experienced great gales, and made but an ill-sped voyage throughout the summer. In addition to that trouble, there came fever upon the expedition, and Orm died, and Halldis his wife, and half the company. Then the sea waxed rougher, and they endured much toil and misery in many ways, and only reached Hjörolfsnes in Greenland at the very beginning of winter. There dwelt Hjörolfsnes, the man who was called Thorkel. He was a useful man, and most worthy franklin. He received Thorbjorn and all his ship's company for the winter, assisting them in right noble fashion. This pleased Thorbjorn well, and his companions in the voyage. At that time, there was a great dearth in Greenland. Those who had been out on fishing expeditions had caught little, and some had not returned. There was in the settlement the woman whose name was Thorbjorn. She was a prophetess, and was called Litivolva, or Little Sibyl. She had 9 sisters, and they were all Spey Queens, and she was the only one now living. It was a custom of Thorbjorn, in the winter time, to make a circuit, and people invited her to the houses, especially those who had any curiosity about the season, or desired to know their fate. And inasmuch as Thorkel was chief franklin thereabouts, he considered that it concerned him to know when the scarcity which overhung the settlement should cease. He invited therefore the Spey Queen to his house, and prepared for her a hearty welcome, as was the custom wherever a reception was accorded to a woman of this kind. A high seat was prepared for her, and a cushion laid thereupon, in which were poultry feathers. Now when she came in the evening, accompanied by the man who had been sent to meet her, she was dressed in such wise that she had a blue mantle over her, with strings for the neck, and it was inlaid with gems, quite down to the skirt. On her neck she had glass beads. On her head she had a black hood of lambskins lined with ermine, a staff she had in her hand, with a knob thereon. It was ornamented with brass, inlaid with gems round about the knob. Around her she wore a girdle of soft hair, and therein was a large skin bag, in which she kept the talismans needful to her in her wisdom. She wore hairy calfskin shoes on her feet, with long and strong-looking thongs to them, and great knobs of latten at the ends. On her hand she had gloves of ermine skin, and they were white and hairy within. Now when she entered, all men thought it their bounden duty to offer her becoming greetings, and these she received according as the men were agreeable to her. The franklin Thorkel took the wise woman by the hand, and led her to the seat prepared for her. He requested her to cast her eyes over his herd, his household, and his homestead. She remained silent altogether. During the evening, the tables were set, and now I must tell you what food was made ready for the Spey Queen. There was prepared for her porridge of kid's milk, and hearts of all kinds of living creatures there found were cooked for her. She had a brazen spoon, and a knife with a handle of walrus tusk, which was mounted with 2 rings of brass, and the point of it was broken off. When the tables were removed, the franklin Thorkel advanced to Thorbjorg, and asked her how she liked his homestead, or the appearance of the men, and how soon she would ascertain that which he had asked, and which the men desired to know. She replied that she would not give answer before the morning, after she had slept there for a night. And when the next day was far spent, the preparations were made for her, which she required for the exercise of her enchantments. She begged them to bring to her those women who were acquainted with the lore needed for the exercise of the enchantments, and which is known by the name of weird songs. But no such women came forward. Then was a search made throughout the homestead, if any woman were so learned. Then answered Gudrid, I am not skilled in deep learning, nor am I a wise woman, although Haldis, my foster mother, taught me in Iceland the lore which she called weird songs. Then art thou wise in good season, answered Thorbjorg. But Gudrid replied, that lore and the ceremony are of such kind that I propose to be of no assistance therein, because I am a Christian woman. Then answered Thorbjorg, thou mightest perchance afford thy help to the men in this company, and yet be none the worse woman than thou wast before. But to Thorkel give I charge to provide here the things that are needful. Thorkel thereupon urged Gudrid to consent, and she yielded to his wishes. The women formed a ring round about, and Thorbjorg ascended the scaffold and the seat prepared for her enchantments. Then sang Gudrid the weird song, in so beautiful and excellent a manner, that no one there did it seem that he had ever heard the song in voice so beautiful as now. The Spey Queen thanked her for the song. Many spirits, said she, had been present under its charm, and were pleased to listen for the song, who before would turn away from us and grant us no such homage. And now are many things clear to me which before were hidden both from me and others. And I am able this to say, that the dearth will last no longer, the season improving as spring advances. The epidemic of fever, which has long oppressed us, will disappear quicker than we could have hoped. And thee, Gudrid, will I recompense straightway, for that aid of thine, which has stood us in good stead, because thy destiny is now clear to me and foreseen. Thou shalt make a match here in Greenland, a most honorable one, though it will not be a long-lived one for thee, because thy way lies out to Iceland, and there shall arise from thee a line of descendants most numerous and goodly, and over the branches of thy family shall shine a bright ray. And so fare thee now well and happily, my daughter. Afterwards the men went to the wise woman, and each inquired after what he was most curious to know. She was also liberal of her replies, and what she said proved true. After this came one from another homestead after her, and she went then there. Thorbjorn was invited because he did not wish to remain at home while such heathen worship was performing. The weather soon improved. When once spring began, as Thorbjorn said, Thorbjorn made ready his ship and went on until he came to Brattahlid, the steep slope. Eirik received him with the utmost cordiality, saying he had done well to come there. Thorbjorn and his family were with him during the winter, and in the following spring Eirik gave to Thorbjorn land at Stoknes, and handsome farm buildings were built for him, and he dwelt there afterwards.